Praises to the Most High and His Son. Thanking Him for another opportunity to get it right. Prove ourselves worthy for His great, terrible, notable day. I just want to wish the nation of Israel a happy feast of dedication. All praise to the Most High and His Son. All praise to the Most High and His Son.
That's right.
Again, today's class title is the Feast of Dedication. What are you willing to die for? One thing about us, human nature, when we begin this life, actually to gain the knowledge that we're truly living. One thing we tend to forget as soon as we touch down on this earth is the countless souls that have been before.
That's right.
We tend to forget about the powers, the wonders that have been done before. We tend to forget about the amount of blood, sweat, and tears spent for us to be where we are today.
Bring it out.
We tend to forget. We walk around as if we just too good to die.
That's right.
We tend to forget. But this is the Feast of Dedication. And we will, in this class, be paying tribute, homage, respect, and honor to the Most High and His Son, and specifically our forefathers. Give me Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 1. Myself also am a mortal man.
Understanding that we are pure, mere mortal men. Read.
Like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth.
Read.
And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months.
How many innumerable souls have been in the same shoes in their mother's womb being fashioned? How many of our forefathers came before us?
That's right.
Read.
Being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep.
Read.
And when I was born, I drew in the common air.
Got forefathers, foremothers that breathe the same air we breathe. Countless of people that came before us inhaling the same common air. Read on.
And fell upon the earth, which is of like nature.
Read.
And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do.
Read.
And great pleasure is it to have her friendship, and in the works of her hand are infinite riches.
Hold on, bro. Start at verse. Come on, bro. Start back to verse 4.
Verse 4. I was nursed and swallowed, clothed, and that was with cares.
I was nursed with swaddling clothes and with cares. It's like countless others. Read on.
Verse 5. For there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. For all men have one entrance into life.
For all men have one entrance into life. Read.
And the light going out.
And the light going out. And the light going out. But read on up.
Verse 7. Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon God, and the spirit of wisdom came to me.
So I'm trying to tell you. While you do have breath, you better be trying to pray for understanding. Scrambling to find out what it means to truly repent. Scrambling to find Christ. Scrambling to learn how to love. Read verse 6 again.
Verse 6. For all men have one entrance into life.
For all men have one entrance into life. Read.
And the light going out.
And the light going out. And the light going out. Give me Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9 and verse 10.
Read on.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might.
Whatever thy hand finds to do, do with thy might. Read.
For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whether thou goest.
Seek the truth. Seek the truth. And it's going to take a lifetime. But Israel, we must seek the truth.
That's right.
Again, paying homage to our forefathers. Give me Romans 15 and 4. Considering the souls that have been before, the lives that have been before us. Romans 15 and 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
So whatever things are written aforetime is written for our learning. Israel, let's take in consideration our forefathers and our foremothers.
That's right.
Understanding that there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. Situation we in, the captivity we in, our forefathers lived through the same thing. But what did they learn to do? What did they find in common? What did they all understand? And we're getting it today, man. Piece of dedication. What are you willing to die for? Read that again, Romans 15 and 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
Read.
That we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Israel, we're at war. Our sons and our daughters have been slaughtered.
That's right.
Our women's souls are being seared. Our men are being blinded. What is it time for us to do? To look out the window and devour one another?
Bring it out.
Or is it a time to love?
That's right.
Which one is it? Give me Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 7. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 7.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations.
Consider the years of many generations. One thing we fail to consider is the years of many generations. You know, here in this time, this section of time, we have this phone, other wicked devices.
Find out.
But it was at one point in time, all you had was your brother sitting next to you.
That's right.
There was one point in time, all you had was your sister sitting next to you. But Israel, I assure you that those times are at hand. The end of the day, all we have is each other. The end of the day, all we have is each other. This is the feast of dedication. We're showing the dedication to our forefathers that understood it.
Bring it out.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 7. Read that again.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old.
Remember the days of old. Remember the days of old. In captivity, behind enemy lines, in the midst of oppression, destruction. How did our forefathers band together and conquer and destroy the enemy? How was it so? How is it possible? But again, scriptures was written aforetime for our learning. That through the scriptures we might have patience and hope. We might have patience and hope. Consider the years of many generations. The numerous amount of souls that have been before us. Consider the blood, sweat, and tears that were spent so that we may be here today.
That's right.
Consider the years of our forefathers. Consider. Give me Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37, verse 25. Ecclesiasticus of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 5. Start at verse 25.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 25. These days of the life of man may be numbered.
The days of the life of man may be numbered. Our days are numbered, Israel.
That's right.
Better be trying to seek the truth. Real understanding. Your real purpose. We the ones that truly make it hard. For if God is love and sin covereth all sins, where do we go wrong?
That's right.
Read that again, Doc.
Verse 25. The days of the life of man may be numbered.
The days of a life of man may be numbered. And what are the reasons that we die? What makes us a mere mortal men? Being ungrateful, being filled with the spirit of anger, wrath, envying, strife, jealousy. Read that again.
The day of the life of man may be numbered.
And when you live like that, your days are numbered. Read.
Right. But the days of Israel are innumerable.
But the days of Israel are innumerable. The days of Israel are innumerable. And what must a man do that he may have eternal life? And it's the love.
Bring it out.
The light. Christ. We the ones that make it hard. Go back, bro. Start at verse 25 again.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 25. The days of the life of man may be numbered.
Read.
But the days of Israel are innumerable.
Read.
A wise man shall inherit glory among his people.
A wise man shall inherit glory among his people. Read on.
And his name shall be perpetual.
Understand in Israel, the same spirits here today, the same spirits aforetime. The same spirits here today are the same spirits aforetime. Who are you back in these days? Let's jump into the Feast of Dedication. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim,
who came out of the land of Chittim, who came out of the land of Rome. Read.
Had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
Understand, Israel, this is a transfer in power. This is a reset. From the Persians and Medes captivity into the captivity of the Grecians. Read on.
That he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
Read.
And made many wars, and had won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted.
He was what?
He was exalted.
He was what?
He was exalted.
Understand in Israel, if the other nations are in rulership, if the evil are in rulership, something has to be going wrong. Give me Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2.
The book of Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Understand it. If we wasn't in rulership at this time, we had to be in a state of darkness.
Right.
The nation had to be sick. The nation had to be sick.
That's right.
Give me Baruch, chapter 4, verse 6. How is it so that we are in the captivity under the Grecians at this time? Why is it so? Read this.
The book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 6. Ye were sold to the nation, not for your destruction, but because ye moved God to wrath.
Why are we in captivity?
Ye moved God to wrath.
Why in this time were we in captivity?
Ye moved God to wrath.
Move God to wrath. But as God is love, what was it that we had to be filled with? Darkness and hate. Just like we are today.
That's right.
Fake love, darkness, and hate. We move God to wrath. Read.
Ye were delivered unto the enemy, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devil and not to God.
That's all I wanted on that. Understanding Israel, you go back to First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. We are simply in this captivity, just like we are today, because we have moved God to wrath. For if God is love, and we move in the wrath, How are we truly operating deep down inside? Is it truly love, or we filled with self-hate, malice, wrath, anger? Read on up. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
So verse 4.
Verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him.
Read.
And after these things, he fell sick.
He fell what?
He fell sick.
He fell what?
He fell sick.
That should give you the condition of the earth. Very dark, very sick. At this time, Israel was sick, just like we are today. Nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
And when we cause God to wrath, what happens? What happens of us? Captivity. What comes of us? Captivity. Read on.
And perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive.
So to verse 9.
Verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So they did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth.
We are in this predicament that we in now, because evil are multiplied in this earth.
That's right.
Inwardly we are sick, dark, full of darkness. Read on.
Verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Ephenius, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome.
So the thing is, Israel, captivity is transitioning from the Persians and Medes to the Grecians. Jump down to verse 11.
Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
In those days went there out of our nation wicked men. So God is love. Give me 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8.
The book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 8. He that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love.
If God is pure love, pure light. If God is true love, then read verse 11 again.
Verse 11. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded men.
If God is love, these Negroes gonna be walking around full of hate.
That's right.
Full of darkness.
Bring it up.
Read on.
Say, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Let us go. Israel, it's time for us to examine ourselves inwardly.
That's right.
What truly fuels your life? What truly fuels your life, your everyday life? Is it revenge? Does revenge fuel you daily? Is it the pride that fuels you daily? Is it the greed that fuels you daily? What other people think of you? What other people see of you? What fuels you daily? What fuels you? Let's get that. Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 37. Ecclesiasticus chapter 37. What truly fuels a man? Is it love, unfeigned?
Bring it out. Bring it out.
Or is it jealousy and hate? What fuels you? Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 37 verse 30.
The book of Sirach chapter 37 and verse 30.
Start at verse 28.
Verse 28.
27.
Verse 27. My son, prove thy soul in thy life.
Hey, he says, my son, in this lifetime, prove thy own soul. And once you do that, once you begin to see, read.
And see what is evil for it.
And see what is evil for it. What is hidden in your secret parts deep down inside? What is hidden deep down inside? What is lies deeply within? Is it hate? Covetous? What is it? But then read.
And give not that unto it.
Identify it and give not unto it. Confess it and change. Flee from it. But let Israel tell it. No, people we don't have problems. The inward man is not the problem. Read on up.
Verse 28. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything.
Read.
Be not unstable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meat.
Read.
For excess of meat bringeth sickness, and satiety will turn into color.
For satiety will turn into color. Read.
By satiety have many
perished. It says many of us perish because of satiety. Give me the definition. What is satiety? Bring the definition.
Satiety. Consume too much of something.
We consume too much of something. Some of us, we consume too much of something in pride. Anger causes us to consume too much of something. Gluttonous. Satiety. What drives you? And it says, satiety. Verse 30, satiety will turn into choler. What is choler? What does that greed turn into?
Choler. Anger or irascibility.
Anger or irritability. Greed, pride, anger turns into irritability. Anger. Majority of us walking around here irritable.
That's right. Bring it out.
Anger. Because we can't quench the pride within. We can't quench the anger within. But read on verse 31.
Verse 31. But by satiety.
By satiety, by the greed, by pride, by the anger, deep down inside, inwardly, read.
Have many perished.
Many of us perish.
That's right.
By satiety, we perish. Read on.
But he that taketh heed.
But he that taketh heed, understanding that it is darkness, that it is evil. Read.
Prolongeth his life.
He prolongeth his life. He prolongeth his life. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees. 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Wicked men, read.
Who persuaded men.
In these days right now, we got a lot of us walking around full of fake love.
Bring it out.
Fake love. Fake. All God wants us to do is love Him and love our neighbor. That's it. But we make it so hard outwardly. Trying to condemn the next man. Judge the next man. But all we're commanded to do is love. Why debate? What is there to debate about?
Bring it out.
What is there to argue about? What is there to argue about? But you know what? We always got to go to nature. Give me Proverbs 6 and 6. Go to nature. The answer lies within nature. Proverbs 6 and 6.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 6. Go to the end.
Go to the who?
Go to the end.
Read.
Thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise.
It says, go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways. Let me tell you about the ant.
Bring it out.
They ready to die for their neighbor at the drop of a dime. Only thing on their mind is love and good works. True love. And they have something to show for it. When ants come together, what do they have? Elaborate tunnels. A well-built, orchestrated mound. Impenetrable defenses. One of the most successful species on the planet.
Bring it out.
Consider the ant. Consider the ant. Because they're ready to lay down their life for the bigger cause, for the nation. Loving their neighbor is thyself. The ant does. Because he's going to go out day and night to make sure that his brother and sister eat.
That's right.
He's going to give his life to make sure that his brother and his sister protected. Read that again, huh?
Verse 6. Go to the end, thou sluggard. Consider her ways.
Consider her what?
Consider her
Well,
ways.
we fail to consider the ways of the ant.
Bring it out.
We fail to consider Israel is not willing to die for nothing.
Bring it out.
To die for nothing. Go back to Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 11.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Wicked men. Brothers and sisters walking around with fake love. Failing to consider the ant, the bigger mission. Our true calling, true cause. Read on.
Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we had much sorrow.
Since they departed from the living God, departed from love, and they had much sorrow. You know, again, instead of leaning on our brother, is at one point in time all we had was our brother and our sister.
Bring it out.
But once we made a covenant with the heathen, they give us this. And what this does, makes you a lover of yourself. Turns you selfish. Because it feeds your ego.
That's right.
You know. It says consider the ant. And what they got to show for it, an impenetrable fortress, elaborate tunnels, food for winter, security. But Israel, tell you what we got to show for it, man.
Bring it out.
If the ant has something to show for all his works and labors, as a nation, what do we got to show? Nothing. Nothing. Because inwardly, we don't love.
That's right.
We don't. And we don't understand it. Read on now.
Verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king who gave them license to do after their orders.
Instead of loving the Most High with all our soul, all our might, Israel rather live lawlessly. To do as they please. Read on.
Who gave them license to do after their ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem.
And went up against what?
Israel and Jerusalem.
And went up against what?
Israel and Jerusalem.
Israel. Now it's on us. Let's see if the enemy doesn't understand this. Give me Judah chapter 5 verse 20. Judah. Judah. Judah chapter 5 verse 20.
The book of Judah, chapter 5 and verse 20. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
If there be any error in this people, what is our error? We got everything else. We know everything but how to love. That's where we go in the error. What does all Christ God command us to do? Is it hard? Where do we go astray? Why is it so hard? Who makes it so hard? Read Matthew 22:36. If there be any error in his people, what is our error? Where do we go wrong as a people? Where do we go wrong as a people? Matthew 22:36. Where do we go wrong as a people?
The book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 36.
Read.
Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Christ said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law.
Where do we go wrong at? What is there to debate about? What is there to bicker about? What is there to murmur about? There's nothing to talk about. Just love. Just love. All you got to do is love. All I gotta do is talk to my brother and love my brother how I want to be treated. Where do we go wrong at as a people? Where do we go wrong at as a people? Again, on this device here, you see that the confusion, division. Confusion and division. But how? If all we command to do is love. Go back to 1 Maccabees. Start at verse 20.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 20. And after that Antiochus had been in Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Read.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
So we sitting around, we laughing, you know. We got all the selfies to take, all the pictures to take. All we see is the green grass and sun shining. But not understanding. Read that again.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar.
Where's our golden altar?
Bring it out.
Where's our golden altar at? Read.
And the candlestick of light.
And what?
And the candlestick
Where's
of light.
the candlestick of light? What do we have to have before God? We would have to offer before God. Or is it snatched? Or is it gone?
Bring it out.
Read.
And all the vessels thereof.
Where are all the vessels thereof? Read on.
And the table of the shewbread.
Where's the table of the shewbread? Read.
And the pouring vessels.
The pouring vessels. Read on.
And the vials. And the censers of gold.
Israel, we have nothing to show or offer to our God but a bunch of Facebook pictures.
Bring it out.
We have nothing to offer to the living God. Nothing to show for it. Nothing. We have absolutely nothing. But in Israel, tell it, man, we comfortable, we proud. We okay. We okay in this situation. We are absolutely okay. I'll tell you something, man. A problem really not a problem until it affects a person.
That's right.
A problem is not a problem until it affects you. And that's what's wrong with our nation, man. We are selfish, man.
That's right.
Selfish.
That's right.
A problem not a problem until it affects you. Selfish. But then Christ walked that way. Give me Galatians 6 and 3. Give me Galatians 6 and 2. Selfish. Galatians 6 and 2.
The book of Galatians, chapter 6 and verse 2. Bear ye one another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ.
So fulfill the law of Christ is to bear ye one another's burdens. Man, nobody don't care about nobody here in Israel. A bunch of fake love going around.
Bring it out.
That's why we're in the predicament we in now. It's fake. Fake love. Nobody truly care about each other, man. It's fake. Fake love. Read.
Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ.
And so fulfill the law of Christ. Who actually really care about each other, man, out there?
Bring it out.
Genuinely care. Who's ready to die for their brother? I'm telling you, everybody, they're going to sit there and lie to your face. It's a bunch of fake love going around. It's the Feast of Dedication. What are you willing to die for? What are you willing to suffer for? Back to 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 24.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 24. And when he had taken all away.
When he had did what?
When we had taken all away.
Israel, they have taken everything from us.
Bring it out.
What do we have here? What is our substance? What do we have to show? Facebook pictures, debate videos. That's all we have to show. Israel, they have taken everything from us. They have taken everything from us. Because guess what? Deep down, inwardly, man, a brother or sister really just worried about themselves.
That's right. Right.
Read on up.
And we had taken all away. He went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very
After
proudly.
being slaughtered. Read on up.
Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were.
Wherefore there was great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. Don't you hear the cry of Jerusalem? Drive down the street, drive down Ann Arbor. Camp Wisdom. Look at the condition of our sons and our daughters. Look at the condition. Brother, I got a son, one of our sons out there. His mother or father not even in sight. Ain't brushed his teeth in weeks. Ain't washed his clothes in days. What about our sisters? What about our sisters? Being treated like trash to the earth.
That's right.
Treated like trash. Back of pieces of meat. Pieces of meat. Read on.
So that the princes and the elders mourn.
So that the what?
So that the princes and the elders mourn.
Man, the princes and the elders ain't mourning now, man. Right. Everybody happy. It's like we happy that we had everything taken away. Because all we got to show for it is a picture of us smiling. It's like we happy. Read on.
The virgins and the young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed.
Read.
Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
Our people was covered with confusion. As we know, that is not a spirit of God. Give me 1 Corinthians 14:33. 1 Corinthians 14:33.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion.
God is not the author of confusion. Anybody walking around and you confused the words coming out of their mouth, it's not a God. Read that again.
For God is not the author of confusion.
Read.
But of peace, as in all churches of the
Give me
saints.
2 Timothy 1 and 7. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7.
The book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear.
God has not given us a spirit of fear. Read.
But of power.
But of what?
But of power.
But of power. Read.
And of love.
And of love. Read.
And of a sound mind.
And of a sound mind. Go back to verse 28. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 28.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 28. The land also was moved from the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years...
Was covered with what?
Confusion.
Was covered with confusion. Which is not a spirit of God. But the spirit of our God gives us power, love, and a sound mind. God wouldn't walk with Israel. God is not with Israel at this time, just like he's not with us today. Read on.
Verse 29. And after 2 years, fully expired, the king sent his chief collector or tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
Jump down to verse 41.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all the people should be one people.
Should be one people. You know, when you come into this truth, and if you really examine it, we still live the same life cycle as the ones that's asleep. Because what's one thing as soon as we wake up we do? We scroll on that phone and we waste away. Some of us in this walk still wasting away. Brains being seared. You know, they say that if you have iPhones, they tell you how long you've been on your phone a day. Some of us on our phone 8 hours a day. Being seared. Wasting away. Dying away. You know, and we all say we come from the earth. This and that, but I'm telling you, nobody can tell you really nothing about the earth. You know, nothing. Nothing. Absolutely destroyed for lack of knowledge. Really, if you want to be technical, we absolutely know nothing here. Know nothing. Read that again.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
All should be one people. wasting away, just like everybody else. Israel, we need to examine ourselves, man. Are we truly giving our God a sacrifice, his time? Truly loving him? Real love? Are we full of fake love? Fake love.
Bring it out.
Fake love. Read on.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Most of us, we don't agree. Most of us, we don't agree. We leave our law, but what fulfills the law? What is it? You know, what fulfills the law? Is it something that everybody should be looking outwardly, pointing the finger at who? Or is it made simple through Christ? Give me James chapter 2, verse 8.
The book of James, chapter 2 and verse 8. If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. That's all we're commanded to do. That is what we're commanded to do. But go back to verse 42.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his law.
And everyone should leave his laws, man. We done left love. We got everything else to give to talk about but out of love. But again, we all say we do love. What we got to show for it?
Bring it out.
Even ants got something to show for their love and devotion towards one another. What do we got to show for it? Man, everything has been stripped and taken away.
That's right.
Read on.
And everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Some of us give in to confusion, darkness, sin, the greed, the hate, the jealousy. Read.
And sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath.
And did what?
And profaned the Sabbath.
Read on.
For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings.
Some other verse 47.
Verse 47. Set up altars, and groves, and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh, and unclean beasts, that they should also leave the children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable, with all manner of uncleanness and profaneness.
Understanding, ain't nothing new under the sun. In that short time we got, remember we are one body, and we are just mere cells in this one body. And one thing that we must be doing is transferring and emitting information to the next cell. Especially our sons, especially our daughters. Passing these things down. That son, your forefathers did fight so that you may be here today. Your foremothers did fight so that you may be here today. Pass it down to our sons' sons. This is a feast of dedication, commemorating the blood, sweat, and tears of sacrifice that it took for us to be here today. How our nation could truly come back in love. Read on.
Verse 49. To the end, they might forget thy law, and change all the ordinances.
And change the spirit of the Lord. Read.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
He should what?
He should die.
Read on.
In the self same manner, were he to his own kingdom, and appointing overseers over the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evil in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places.
They said it was our own people that started committing wickedness in the land, and drove us. And what did they do? They did what?
And drove the Israelites into secret places.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be the ones amongst you. It's gonna be the ones amongst you. And have you ever wondered why in that world, man, it was hard to find true love?
That's right. Bring it out.
It was hard to find a real friend.
Bring it out.
Have you ever wondered? This is it, man. This is it. Again, there is no new thing under the sun. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places. It's the ones of us that's awake. Read on.
And drove the Israelites into secret places, even whatsoever they could flee for succor. Now the 15th day of that month consumed.
Start at verse 61. Start at verse 59. Start at verse 59.
Verse 59. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice unto the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
You know, while we sit back and bicker, complain, devour one another, there was one point in time that all a sister had was a fellow sister.
Bring it out. Right.
Only thing a man had was his fellow brother.
That's right.
Read on.
Verse 61. And they hanged the infants about their neck.
They hanged our sons about their neck. Read.
And rifled their houses.
Read.
And slew them.
And did what?
And slew them.
Read.
And had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved, and confirming themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Read.
Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meat.
So they chose rather to die. Read on.
And that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
Read.
And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Israel, understand this. There's only two types of Israelites you can be. Only two. Child of the light or a child of darkness. A son of the devil or a son of God. Only two types of Israelites you can be.
That's right.
And what is an Israelite man known through? How do you know a man? Through his seed.
That's right.
Through his seed. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 28. Sirach chapter 11 verse 28. How do you know a wicked person? Through their seed. Read this.
The book of Sirach chapter 11 and verse 28. Judge none, blessed before his death.
Judge none, blessed before his death. Judge no man or woman blessed before her death. Don't judge her, but read.
For a man shall be known in his children.
In his what?
In his
It's
children.
in your DNA. It's in your DNA rather to be fake or rather to be real and truthful.
Right.
In that world, we dealt with so much fake love because simply it was in their DNA. Let's get that again. A person may be known in their children, Ezekiel 16 and 44. Who are you aforetime? Ezekiel 16 verse 44.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 44. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee.
Say, read.
Saying, as in the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the what?
As the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the mother, read.
As is the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the mother, so is her daughter.
That's right.
A person may be known in their seeds. Their spirit lives on through their seeds, through their DNA. Who are you aforetime? None of the people out there being fake, showing fake love. Or are you a person that truly did love? Go back to 1 Maccabees. Chapter 2, verse 1.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 1. And in those days arise Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joel,
a Levite, read,
from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
These are the days of Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joel, from Jerusalem, and they dwelt in Modin. Understand, Israel. It got to be within. It has to be in you. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 44. Ecclesiasticus chapter 44, Mattathias. Start at verse 1.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 44 and verse 1. Let us now praise famous men.
Mattathias the Levite was a famous man in Israel. Read.
And our fathers that begat us. The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
The Lord wrought great glory, Mattathias. From the beginning. Read.
Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms.
Some famous men and men of renown, they bear rules in their kingdoms in times before. Read.
Men renowned.
Men renowned. A man of renown that you see today. Read.
For their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecy. Leaders of the people by their counsel, and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people. Wise and eloquent in their instruction.
Read.
Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitation. All these were honored in their generation and were the glory of their time.
Start at verse 11.
Verse 11.
Start at verse 10.
Verse 10. But these were merciful men whose righteousness hath not been forgotten.
So the works of a righteous man, his works will never be forgotten. His righteousness will never be forgotten. Read.
With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance.
With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance. With their seed, it has to come from within. Can't just wake up and fake if something like this, something that you want to do. It has to come from within.
Bring it out.
Read.
And the children are within the covenant. Their seed stand fast.
Their what?
Their seed stand fast.
Their seed is going to stand fast. Read.
And their children for their sake.
And their children for their sakes. Read.
Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out.
The seed will remain forever, and his glory will never be blotted out. Understanding Israel, a man that be known, and his children and his sons. Go back to 1 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. Mattathias, a man of renown.
The book of 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, son of John, the son of Simon, a priest of the sons of Joriel, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons.
Start at verse 14.
Verse 14. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned their very soul.
And why was this? Why was the case? Why was the case? Give me start at verse 8.
Verse 8.
6, part of verse 6.
Verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?
I was born to see the misery of our people. If God only tell us to love, or as God is love, again, Israel, where do we go astray? Where do we go astray? In the time that we begin to put off love, we invite misery. Misery. Look around. People are miserable. But outwardly, let everybody tell it. They got a picture with I want to show it the white teeth. But inwardly, we are miserable.
Bring it out.
Miserable. Read.
And of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary, into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory.
Our what?
Her temple is become as a man without glory.
We have become as a man without glory. Read.
Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity.
Everything has been stripped and taken from us. Read on.
Her infants are slain in the streets.
Our children are slain. Our sons and our daughters are slain.
Right.
Our 5-year-old daughter's walking around saying she know how to twerk before she could cook.
Bring it out. That's right.
Our sons, they rather kill their brother for he love them. Read.
Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom, and gotten of her spoil?
Go to verse 13.
Verse 13. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Read.
Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore.
Israel ain't mourning very sore. You know, I guess it's time to take a selfie.
Bring it out.
When everything has been stripped from us, and we say we consider the ant, but we have nothing to show, nothing to offer to our God. Israel, it's time to stand and fight. This is the feast of dedication, man.
That's
we
right.
don't.
Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modi'in.
Let's get the narrative of the story, Israel.
Came into the
Stop
city.
right there. Hold on, Elzar. Coming to an end. We have began to walk in error, walk in darkness, failing to commit what fulfills the royal law, which is true love for your brother and your sister. Give me First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 27.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Let him do what?
Let him follow me.
Let him do what?
Let him follow me.
Saying whosoever is zealous of the law. Again, Israel, is the law something that we must debate? Or is it made simple through Christ? To love your brother as thyself. What is it so hard? What is so hard? Read on up.
Verse 28. So he and his sons fled into the mountain and left all that ever they had in the city.
Jump down to verse 39.
Verse 39. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them.
Understand, Israel. Coming to an end. It says, now when Mattathias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore. What is something that we mourn about? Something that's going to get us together. This is what it's going to take. Jump down to verse 34. Jump up to verse 34.
Verse 34. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places where they laid hay, but said, let us die, all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us, that ye put us to death wrongfully.
Read on.
So they arose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and slew them with their wives and children, and their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people.
Israel brought up the class. Nobody wants to talk about all the missing brothers and sisters we got here today. Over 100,000 sisters went missing this year alone. Brothers. They find our carcasses with no organs, no eyes. See, we fail to realize the slaughter being done to our sons and our daughters and our people. And truly, people that truly love, jump down to verse 39.
Verse 39. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood hereof, they mourned for them.
They did what?
They mourned for them.
They did what?
They mourned for them.
The elders in the nation is doing no type of mourning. Because we happy, comfortable, worried about self. Well, problem ain't a problem until it affects that person, man. Read on.
They mourned for them right sore, and of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done.
If we all do as our brother are done. So again, what type of person were you? What type of spirit is within you? Sister, if everybody had that mindset you had, what would be our fruits of our nation? If all sisters decided to tuck tail just like you, getting their feelings just like you.
Bring it out.
Brother, what if all brothers had the spirit that you had? Lazy, sluggard. What would we have to show? Read that again, huh?
Verse 40. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done.
Let's say we all put on that spirit as that sister over there. Tuck tail on her sister. Turn her back on her sister. Let's see if we all took on that same spirit as that brother over there. Covenant breaker, full of wrath, jealousy, malice, envy. Read.
And fight not for our lives and love against the heathen.
Read.
They will now quickly root us up out of the earth.
Man, we would have been massacred, slaughtered. Nothing to show. They would not quickly root us up out of the earth, man. We can't walk around like some of these people walking around. Where the real love at?
That's right.
Where the real love at? Where the Israelites truly mourning for the nation? Who truly care? Read on.
Verse 41. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, whosoever shall come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will fight against them. Neither will we die all, as our brethren that were murdered in the secret place.
So again, coming to an end. Israel, the feast of dedication is commemorating our forefathers understanding Christ. What did Christ all command us to do? John 15:13. John 15:13.
The book of St. John, chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend.
That a man lay down his life for his friend. That a man lay down his life for his friend. But that goes toe to toe with something. Give me Judges chapter 5 verse 2. Let's see what happened when a nation willingly sacrificed themselves. Judges chapter 5 verse 2. Judges. Judges chapter 5 verse 2.
The book of Judges chapter 5 and verse 2. Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel.
For the avenging of Israel. Read.
When the people willingly offered themselves.
Nobody willing to offer themselves, man. Israel ain't ain't gonna die for nothing. Israel, they rather die for a pair of J's than for their brother.
Bring it out.
A sister, she rather die for her man for her sister. Brother rather die for money before his brother. Read that again.
Verse 2. Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves.
Israel, it's time for us to willingly offer ourselves. Darkness is coming. Death is imminent. Death is imminent.
Right.
You better check First Maccabees. Give me chapter 4, verse 43.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 4 and verse 43. Who cleansed the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stone.
So when we come together in love, we begin to cleanse the sanctuary, the inward man. Breathe.
And bear out the defiled stone.
Read on.
Into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offering, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them.
Read on.
Because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountains of the temple.
Jump down to verse 55.
Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them a good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offering with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Read.
They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold.
So Israel, we come back as one in light, one under God. We understand this. Give me First Maccabees 3:19. Real quick.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse 19. For the victory of the battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven.
Our forefathers understood, for the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of hosts, but strength coming from heaven. They understood that God is love. They understood these things. That in order for God to avenge his people, we must willingly sacrifice ourselves. Read on.
Verse 20. They came against us in much pride.
We understand that they come against us with much pride. Our people sit next to us. Our own nation come against us with much pride. Read.
And iniquity, to destroy us and our wives and children, and to spoil us.
Read.
but we fight for our lives and our laws.
Understanding what our forefathers truly fought for. Our lives and our laws of love. For it's that love that fulfilleth the law. Go back to verse 41. Shalakia, 59.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 3.
Chapter 4, verse 59.
Chapter 4 and verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the
feast
altar,
of the dedication of the altar, read,
should be kept in their season,
should be kept in our season, read,
from year to year.
Read on.
Year to year, this by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month of Kalshu,
25th day of the month of Kalshu, with us in winter, read,
with mirth and gladness.
Mirth and gladness. With mirth and gladness. Read.
Verse 60. At that time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down, as they had done before.
Unbelievers. Read on.
And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified, felt sure to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea.
Israel's time was to come together, build up the walls again. And we do that to pure love for one another. Considering the ant. Considering the ant. Because at the drop of a dime, the ant is ready to give his life for his neighbor. With the people, best interest at heart. Giving our praise to the Most High and the Son.
That's right.
Commemorating, honoring forefathers that have been before us. The blood, sweat, and tears that they gave before us, Israel. All praise to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom.